Hey guys, welcome to the channel. So this is going to be a video series. It's going to cover a boat project that I worked on. This project went on for a couple of years. Actually, it's kind of still ongoing. You'll see kind of some basic leak repair from when I bought the boat all the way up to me actually getting to a point where I cut the front end of the boat off and refabricate some stuff on it. I'm not a professional, I'm just kind of a DIY kind of guy. And so I just kind of show some of the process of what I did, and I kind of document a lot of these little projects just so years down the road I can go back and take a look at it. So thought I'd share it with you. Like I said, not a how-to video, but you should find some sort of entertainment value out of it, kind of see the process that I went through to go ahead and make the fix and to turn this boat into something that I wanted to use and that would fit my needs. So anyway, sit back, pop some popcorn, enjoy. It's going to be interesting, and hopefully you can learn something from it. So thanks. Hey guys, welcome to the channel. And today we're going to be doing some welding and fabricating on this old boat here. This is a 1848 style John boat. It's a flat bottom boat, and we run a SPS longtail mud motor on the back. I'm not a professional fabricator by any means. I'm kind of a hobbyist DIYer, and but I do have the capability and a machine to run aluminum MIG, and so we're going to do some fixes on it. This boat has been mistreated prior to me owning it. Mistreated, it's been cobbled up. People have done all kinds of different repairs to it. And so there's a mixture of JB welds and epoxies and marine sealant and all kinds of stuff that's in this boat. As I've owned it, I've fixed certain things on it, repaired things, but inevitably over time those cobbled fixes start to leak, they start to break, and that's what we're here to do to fix today. So main thing that we're going to fix today is a couple of leaks. So I'm going to show you guys how I repair crack leaks or leaks on seams, and then also what I do for leaks on rivets and different things like that. So we're going to get into it. First thing we're going to start, and I'll show you guys kind of where the leaks are, and then we're going to clean things up, make sure that we clean the metal and get everything prepped before we do any kind of welding. And I'm just going to kind of walk you guys through the process of what I've learned, how I do it, and the process that I'm going to use to fix it. And hopefully this will help you guys, if you're wanting to fix your own boat, or if you need some confidence or whatever. We're not going to use any sort of epoxies. We're not going to use any sort of brazing or anything like that. We're actually doing legitimate weld fixes on this. We're going to be putting filler materials into the metal. And so if you guys are looking for a quick boat fix, and you're not planning on welding, this probably isn't the video for you. But this will be interesting, I think, and I know there's a lot of videos out there on the internet that show this stuff, but I'm going to kind of show you guys how I do it, and hopefully this will help you out. So let's get into it, and I'm sure it's going to take us a while, but let's get into it and see if we can't get this thing to hold water. Alright, so here she is. First off, so when I do a leak check for a boat, you guys can see I've kind of got my garage shut up here because we got to keep it out of the wind if we're going to weld on it. The way that I leak check boats is that an aluminum flat bottom boat is I will fill it up with water, about 2 to 3 inches of water, and level it out, and then I'll go underneath and I'll check for leaks. I noticed the other day when I was in the boat on the river that it started leaking, and it's leaking from this spot right here. And if you guys can see that, you can actually see daylight through it. So what had happened, I already cleaned a bunch of it off, but there was a marine sealant that was here, or an epoxy, and it had lifted and gotten underneath there. So if you guys are putting epoxy or anything on your boats, that stuff is just eventually going to come up, which is fine, and you got to use what you got to use to fix it, but there are continuous repairs you'll have to do. Whenever I get a leak identified, I just take some soapstone here and I mark W for weld, or if I'm just going to use like 5500 sealant, I'll put like 55 on it, I still use some 55 sealant just in certain cases because it's a little bit faster and it's not a structural issue. But you'll notice here where this leak is, and I apologize for the lighting, guys, but it's right at a seam. So, you know, we're talking about some structural, you know, components here, and this is an area that's going to hit a lot on logs and sandbars and stuff. And you can see right here that there was another repair, a very robust repair of epoxy or, you know, sealant that's on there. And I would imagine there's quite the leak in here, and it's on a structural point. You could see some bowing and bending here, so at some point in time somebody's hit something pretty hard. Not a fix for today. Today we're going to just do this on this particular spot, but that's kind of what we got to do. There's a lot of other things on this boat that we need to get done. This deck is going to end up coming out, and they had some fixes that they made here, and you know, you can see some bending down here. Somebody at some point in time had put an eye loop here and attached that to their tow anchor or their tow line to strap, and of course they broke this bar, which, you know, and we could weld that together, but more than likely to do it right, we'd want to replace this piece or put a cap over it. This is what I had put on in the past, so we could actually tow it proper, if you guys can see that. But there's a lot of stuff. I mean, you look at this boat, there are so many bends and breaks, and I mean, I don't know what the heck they did, if they drug it down a gravel road. We're gonna fix it little by little. I'm not trying to dump a ton of money into it, and we are really rough on these boats on the rivers and whatnot. You know, they're mud boats. We use them for hunting and fishing, and we hit logs and sandbars, so you know, we're not going for ultra, you know, fine repairs and whatnot, because inevitably you're gonna break it at some point. But you can use epoxy fixes and stuff, but that only goes so far. So let's get this cleaned up, and like I said, we're gonna get this area cleaned up, and then what we'll end up doing is welding on top here in the inside, and then we'll also weld on the outside as well. All right, guys, so little progress report here. When you're making repairs on aluminum, you always have to end up making things worse. So when it comes to anything with aluminum, you always want to identify your issues and your cracks. And we'll get down here. You guys can see there's a big hole, a big strip I ended up having to grind out. Another thing we'll probably end up doing is we'll end up drilling a hole on either side, and that's to help terminate the any crack or stress fractures that are going on. And then we're also going to weld from the front all the way past to about here. A little bit more cleaning to do. Getting into this epoxy here, like I said, I don't want to mess with it today, but we're going to repair this now. We'll still need to wire brush it. As you can see, there's going to be, as clean as that looks, and there's still going to be a ton of junk that's down in these cracks and crevices. You know, using a wheel, a brush, a Scotch pad, all of that can't get it out. So the only way to get that out is going to be with a stainless steel brush and then some acetone, and we're going to get it to the best of our ability. But you know, that's pretty much as far as we're going to be able to get with it today, for sure. All right, guys, so we're going to go ahead and get welding here. We've got a nice little spot ground out for our earth clamp. We're going to start off on the inside. I like to start off on the inside. We're going to basically just start layering on some material. As I ground out, I found a lot more problems. Talk about machine settings real quick. This is a Cinder machine. We're on Pulse Mig, aluminum setting, 85 amps, 19 volts. It's kind of a synergic setup, so it does all your, on this machine, it does voltage automatically.
but we're going to start off with 85. I'll let that pile in. 100% argon on the regulator, 25 CFM, and 4043 wire, 035. I always burn 035. It's just easier for me to run. So we're gonna fill this in. I'll try to get some shots of me welding here. I'll probably be standing in the legs. I don't have too much room for my camera, but we'll see what we come up with. Alright, so we got the inside filled up. I put a lot of material on the inside of this boat. And essentially I just did kind of like a fillet style weld. Ran a few passes, had some blowouts, which I always expect, and then I had to build up that material. I have about 1/4 inch or more just built in this entire corner on the inside. So now we've got a lot of aluminum in here to deal with, or to work with. So I turned my amps up. What we're going to try and do is lay some nice beads as we can, and try to layer this in. We've ground this out, and then I'm going to basically try to lay a bead on top, here on the corner or on the edge, and then on the back side over here. We're just going to strengthen this up. This is a real high impact zone. I mean, as you can see, there was a lot of repairs that have been done over the years. So I'm going to try and build this material up. I'm not really so worried about cosmetics or it matching everything. We'll sand it, clean to a point, but I want to try and put as much material and link this material, not just on the edge, but also taper it off, up in here a little bit. I'm going to clean this a little bit better. This is kind of where our weld ended or terminated here. So I'm going to clean this a little bit higher up here so we can get that weld in there. The back side or underneath is already pretty good. So I'll show you guys the inside. I haven't cleaned up anything yet. So it's all pretty well cooled off now, but you can see there's quite a bit of material put in there, and none of this is real, professional straight line stuff, but it's definitely in there, and it's going to fill it. It's a lot stronger than it was. Burn back. Right on the nozzle. That's the worst thing that can happen right now. Alright guys, so you can see kind of finished product here. Sanded down, ground down. Had a lot of trouble getting the spray arc or the spray transfer to get up into this material, so I had to change up some techniques, use a little better stick out, try to bring more of a horizontal angle, but I was able to get it filled in. Went through a few different tips on some burn back issues. You can see the angle of the boat comes down, and it actually has a little bit of a lip here. There's just a nice solid chunk of material that's here. It's blended in on the bottom. All the rough edges have been taken off, so it'll move or water around it. A couple little holes, nothing too deep or anything. I wasn't going to grind everything out because I don't want to take any more material off of here that we've added. So this is definitely a really strong piece of the boat. I'll take it over and show you the other side. So nothing to write home about. Stacked some weld in here. Got some decent beads filled in. There was only a couple holes in this little area here, so we've really reinforced this up. There's no sharp edges. I didn't even sand this out. I just want all that to be nice and strong. So this should suffice for now until we hit a log or do something else. Hopefully everything will work with that and last a long time.